can read the Mesopotamian story and understand the reference, which isn't an easy thing to do, and fail to draw that conclusion. Marduk has eyes all the way around his head. He speaks magic words. He goes off to fight Tiamat, the dragon of chaos. Well, what's that? That's the reptilian predator that lurks in the unknown. Well, is any of that, is there anything about any of that that stands in opposition to what you would presume if you were just analyzing our situation from a purely biological perspective? We're prey animals, we're predators. We've been threatened by reptiles forever. Why wouldn't we use the predator that lurks in the dark forest or the water as a representative of the unknown? Why wouldn't we harness that circuitry? We already have it at hand, and even more to the point, how could we do anything else? It makes perfect sense. Well, so then you might say, like, you don't need to have all these things, but you better have most of them. Family, friends, career, educational goals, plans for, time outside of work, attention to your mental and physical health, etc. That's what life is about. And if you don't have any of those things, well, then all you've got left is misery and suffering. So that's a bad deal for you. So once you set up that goal structure, let's say, and that's really in many ways that's what you should be doing at university. That's exactly what you should be doing, is trying to figure out who it is that you're trying to be, right? And you aim at that, and then you use everything you learn as a means of building that person that you want to be. And I really mean want to be. I don't mean should be, even those things are going to overlap. And it's important to distinguish between those, because that's partly, and this is back down to the micro-routine analysis. So if I was saying, well, you're going to try to make yourself more industrious, okay, number one, specify your damn goals, because how are you going to hit something if you don't know what it is? That isn't going to happen. And often people won't specify their goals too, because they don't like to specify conditions for failure. So if you keep yourself all vague and foggy, which is real easy, because that's just a matter of not doing as well, then you don't know when you fail. And people might say, well, I really don't want to know when I fail because that's painful. So I'll keep myself blind about when I fail. That's fine, except you'll fail all the time then. You just won't know it until you've failed so badly that you're done. And that can easily happen by the time you're 40. So I would recommend that you don't let that happen. So that's willful blindness, right? You could have known, but you chose not to. Okay, so once you get your goal structure set up, you think, okay, if I could have this life, looks like that might be worth living, despite the fact that it's going to be, anxiety provoking and threatening, and there's going to be some suffering and loss involved and all of that. Obviously, the goal is to have a vision for your life such that, all things considered, that justifies your effort. Okay, so then what do? Well, then you turn down to the micro routines. It's like, okay, well, this is what I'm aiming for. How does that instantiate itself day to day, week to week, month to month? And that's where something like a schedule can be unbelievably useful. Google Calendar. It's like, make a damn schedule and stick to it. Okay, so what's the rule with the schedule? It's not a bloody prison. That's the first thing that people do wrong. They say, well, I don't like to follow a schedule. It's like, well, what kind of schedule are you setting up? Well, I have to do this, then I have to do this, then I have to do this, and then I just go play video games, because who wants to do all these things that I have to do? It's like, wrong. Set the damn schedule up so that you have the day you want. That's the trick. It's like, okay, I've got tomorrow. If I was going to set it up so it was the best possible day I could have, practically speaking, what would it look like? Well, then you schedule that, and obviously there's a bit of responsibility that's going to go along with that, because if you have any sense, one of the things that you're going to insist upon is that at the end of the day, you're not in worse shape than you were than at the beginning of the day, right? Because that's a stupid day. If you have a bunch of those in a row, you just dig yourself a hole and then you bury yourself in it. It's like, sorry, that's just not a good strategy. It's a bad strategy. So maybe 20% of your day has to be responsibility and obligation, or maybe it's more than that, depending on how far behind you are. But even that, you can ask yourself, okay, well, I've got these responsibilities. I have to schedule the damn things in. What's the right ratio of responsibility to reward? And you can ask yourself that, just like you'd negotiate with someone who is working for you. It's like, okay, you got to work tomorrow. Okay, so I want you to work tomorrow. And you might say, okay, well, what are you going to do for me that makes it likely that I'll work for you? Well, you could ask yourself that, you know. So maybe you do an hour of responsibility and then you play a video game for 15 minutes. I don't know, whatever turns your crank, man. But, you know, you have to negotiate with yourself and not tyrannize yourself. Like you're negotiating with someone that you care for, that you would like to be productive and have a good life. And that's how you make the schedule. It's like, and then you look at the day and you think, well, if I had that day, that'd be good. Great. You know, and you're useless and horrible, so you'll probably only hit it with about 70% accuracy, but that beats the hell out of 0, right? And if you hit it even with 50% accuracy, another rule is, well, aim for 51% the next week, or 50.5% for God's sake, or because you're going to hit that position where things start to loop back positively and spiral you upward. And so that's one way that you can work on your conscientiousness, is to plan a life you'd like to have. And you do that partly by referring to social norms. That's more or less rescuing your father from the belly of the whale. But the other way you do that is by having a little conversation with yourself about, as if you don't really know who you are, because you know what you're like. You won't do what you're told. You won't do what you tell yourself to do. You must have noticed that. It's like you're a bad employee and a worse boss, and both of those work, you know, for you. You don't know what you want to do, and then when you tell yourself what to do, you don't do it anyways. You should fire yourself and find someone else to be. But you know, my point is that you have to understand that you're not your own servant, so to speak. You're someone that you have to negotiate with, and you're someone that you want to present the opportunity of having a good life to. And that's hard for people because they don't like themselves very much. So, you know, they're always like cracking the whip and then procrastinating, and cracking the whip and then procrastinating. And it's like, God, it's so boring and such a pathetic way of spending your time. And you know what that's like, because you probably waste like 6 hours a day. And I think we did an economic calculation about that a while back, right? Your time's probably worth $50 an hour, something like that. I mean, you're not getting paid that now, but you're young. And so this is investment time. And what you do now is going to multiply its effects in the future. So let's say it's $50 an hour, which is perfectly reasonable. So if you waste 6 hours a day, and you are, then you're wasting about $2,000 a week, or about $100,000 a year. So like, go ahead, but that's what it's costing you every hour. And you need to know what your damn time is worth. So let's say it's not $50, it's 30, whatever. Maybe it's 100, it's somewhere in that range. One of the things you should be asking yourself is, when you spend an hour, was that, well, would have I paid someone $50 to have had that hour? And if the answer is no, it's like, well, maybe you should do something else with your time. And it depends on whether or not you think that your time's worthwhile. But the funny thing about not assuming that is, if you assume your time isn't worthwhile, what happens is you don't just sit around sort of randomly in a state of responsibilityless bliss. What you do is you suffer existentially. And so that seems like a stupid solution. You know, if you take people, and I've told you this, and you expose them voluntarily to things that they are avoiding and are afraid of, you know, that they know they need to overcome in order to meet their goals, their self-defined goals. If you can teach people to stand up in the face of the things they're afraid of, they get stronger. And you don't know what the upper limits to that are, because you might ask yourself, like, if for 10 years, if you didn't avoid doing what you knew you needed to do, by your own definitions, right, within the value structure that you've created, to the degree that you've done that, what would you be like? Well, you know, there are remarkable people who come into the world from time to time, and there are people who do find out over decades-long periods what they could be like if they were who they were, if they spoke their being forward. And they get stronger and stronger and stronger. We don't know the limits to that. We do not know the limits to that. And so you could say, well, in part, perhaps the reason that you're suffering unbearably can be left at your feet, because you're not everything you could be, and you know it. And of course, that's a terrible thing to admit, and it's a terrible thing to consider, but there's real promise in it, right? Because it means that perhaps there's another way that you could look at the world, and another way that you could act in the world. So what it would reflect back to you would be much better than what it reflects back to you now. And then the second part of that is, well, imagine that many people did that, because we've done a lot as human beings. We've done a lot of remarkable things. And I've told you already, I think before, that today, for example...
No.
If Kyrie, then tell him you're sorry, okay? Kyrie, can you please tell him you're sorry?
Problem solved. She is not sorry.
You have 3 siblings, right?
4.
Whoa. It's like one more than I thought.
Wow.
Then go play something else. Go play something else then, Carter.
Blank is Asian, so he was able to do that hard math question.
Yes. Yeah, we should have a Monopoly night one day. Like over VC.
It's gonna go like 6 hours.
No. We just don't get like 10 people. Like it's gotta be like a 6-person thing.
It's a long time.
Yeah, and none of us has lies.
Yeah, you got a point.
I'm pretty sure most of us are single and are virgins. We have time to play Monopoly.
Blank is single now.
Yes.
Just joined.
That didn't age well.
The picture I sent, Broden?
Is that 2019?
Yeah, that's 2019.
Oh, that didn't age well.
Oh.
How did I decide who was gonna get a picture and who what?
Bless you.
Thank you.
Just like anyone who bought a booth or anyone who qualified.
No, they have pictures of like everyone like at the beginning. There's like
Literally.
150 or so pictures.
Yeah, literally everyone.
Will says he wants a 1.2 by December.
No, when they were choosing which pictures to upload to the Facebook gallery, they were. It's like you're at an ice cream shop, right? And there's like 20 different flavors, and you're like, you know, just take all of them. Put it all in
Wait.
one scoop.
Hold on, Tristop, did you just say that Zila wants a 1.2 by December?
He says he wanted a I think this was in June. In June he was like, I want a new PB by the end of the month, 1.1 by the end of August, and he says I want and screw it, 1.2 by the end of December.
Okay, that's not gonna happen.
Uh,
I get that new PB.
Second max by the
He
end
said
of
PB in
2021?
June, and it's already July.
How many
He's
maxes
still
does
not
he
any
even
closer to 1.1 as he is, because he still hasn't got a second max.
have? One max.
On the clock. Oh, I got the plus 200 starting cash.
Let's go.
Did you
Wait,
pass
brother,
go?
what level are you?
Which
56.
Did you pass
Yeah,
go?
Shaki is a level, what's it called, 70 something.
Ooh!
Which monkey? Which knowledge paths that support?
Primary.
Yeah, I literally just like rushed the 200 starting cash and not much else.
I literally never look at primary. I just look at support and like magic.
I looked at all of them. Support's also pretty good. Is the 8% XP worth?
What?
Hmm,
I don't know.
Actually,
Is your
Got it.
mom worth?
I don't know
If
if I
you can
like.
always respec it, so if you're trying to get all your like towers leveled up, then yeah. But like
That's true.
I don't have it.
Yeah, I don't care too much about that path.
Forgot.
Carter, it's just a game. Go play something else if you don't want that to happen.
I forgot that some of the knowledge you need like, money to afford it. So then I didn't know that. I just had like 5 books. I just wasted all my monkey money.
Does anyone want to play chess?
Yo, anyone here besides Coffee got Don't Starve together?
I have it, but I hate it.
You hate it?
Well, I mean, I'll play it, but like, I dislike the game.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I think the last time I played it was like mucho long ago.
Hey, what's
Like actually, like I think I played it in like in middle school.
the style of game? in what is.
Hello.
It'd be survival.
Okay, first.
Like platformer.
Sure.
Person shoot.
So I just don't know what a platformer is, so I'm just gonna say sure.
I said first person.
That's what this paper is. Why am I so many matches behind? Eggmaster versus
Eggmaster.
What
Master.
is that?
I barely know her.
Oh.
Okay, so that's this one, which means that up next will be this one.
See your card scream and just cut out.
Alright, Sharky versus who? Where's that at?
So it'd be great if I got a barrel.
Alright, I see Jake versus Sharky.
Creates
Yo,
a
what?
special shield that absorbs up to 25 lives for free. Oh my god.
That's what I have, the mana.
Wait, that's so good.
It works on, I believe it works on Unpoppable, if I'm not mistaken.
What?
That's incredible.
I have
Okay,
to double check that. Don't
I'm
quote me on
gonna
that.
rush that next. If it doesn't work on Impoppable, then I don't.
Wait, if Delta
I'm not
doesn't
getting it.
work?
Do you want me to check right now?
Alright, please. Earn 10% extra monkey. I guess. Sure. I don't think this works.
No, it does not work on Unpoppable.
Oh.
Not worth it.
Wait,
Don't do it.
what doesn't work on Impoppable?
Man.
Mana.
I guess it's still pretty good for like alternate balloon rounds and such.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and it's not like just 25, so let's say you lose all the 25. Over time, you'll get that 25 back if you do rounds flawlessly.
Yes. Coffee, you wanna co-op?
Yeah.
Sharky,
Is Striker Jones like not? Is he good?
Fuck, what I do that.
Striker Jones is there.
Striker.
I
I barely know her.
I'd say Oben is better than Striker. Like he's not good.
Yeah,
Now,
no, Oben is
Captain Churchill though, Captain Churchill is like an A tier.
So I have like Azalea and then the basic 4. Should I just like always use Azalea?
I mean, you could. I mean, if you play predominantly water, like there's some maps that are like predominantly water, getting a Admiral Brickle is good.
I don't
It's the
have.
boat girl, right?
Yeah, Boat Girl.
It's the best hero. You can Adora.
It's in between Adora and Azalea. Adora has insane popping power. However, she can't detect camo. And Azalea can detect camo, pop leads, and if you get her to level 20, she can destroy a bad completely and entirely.
Shit.
Wow.
Meanwhile, Adora, if you get Adora to level 20, her upgraded spike ball or her upgraded fireball can do insane damage up against a BAD, and it
Wait, so-
basically deletes DBTs.
If you use Moab Hex on a bad, what happens? Wait, no, you can't use it on a bad.
Only at level 20 can you use Moab Hex on a bad.
Oh, okay. How long does it take to get to level 20?
Pretty long, like unless you rush it with money, you're looking like mid or not mid, but like low hundreds.
Oh, thank God.
That's still pretty good.
Eco and Rush.
But Adora's popping power is a bit stronger than Azalea's, so that's why they're both S tier.
I don't remember who I was with, but like we played this super scuffed co-op match on Geared.
Yeah, that was Mutation.
Oh yes. Oh my god.